Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zaria, and April is over. And it was honestly a really good month. It was my first official month back since my reading slump, my March reading slump that I feel like everybody had, which was my first ever reading slump. Without further ado, let's get into it. Also, I'm sorry if you guys are hearing like a lot of noises. I have my window open because it's nice out. Like, it's 82 degrees out. Anyways, let's get into it. The first book I read was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I love Stephanie Garber. I read Caraval, the first book in this series. I read that. I think like it literally made my second book of the whole year. So back in January, and I had never really gotten into fantasy at all. I've never been a fantasy person. And at first I gave that book like a 3 stars. I didn't love it. I thought it was like pretty good, but it wasn't amazing. But now looking back on it, I'd probably give it like 4 stars. But then I decided that I would read, buy and read the next 2 books. So first I read Legendary. This book is probably my favorite book from the whole series. I love this series now. This just follows, if you know the first book, you know we have Scarlet and Tella, they're sisters, and Caraval is this kind of like magical game that they've been invited to, and there's so much stuff that happens in the first book. Read it if you haven't. But in the second book, they go to this like a city's capital, and there's yet another Caraval game, and just like it's just I just love it. It's so magical and like fun, and like there's just I just love it. Truly, I just love it. I think I gave this book probably like 4.5 stars. I love this book. Also, we find out who Legend is in this book too. So if you read the first book but didn't want to read the second book, maybe read it. Next, I decided to, give myself a break from fantasy and read Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. This book, I gave this like 3 stars. I thought this book was like okay, but I didn't love this book. I ended up like reading a lot of it via audiobook because it just, I don't know, it's basically about these like women, and they're all like kind of like rich. Like 2 of them are sisters, and 1 of them is like married into the family, and it's just kind of about like their life like over like a few months, I think, of time, and it's just their life. Like, there's not really a plot if I'm being honest. It's one of those like literary fiction books that's just kind of like people living their life, and like, I guess the characters kind of change and grow, but I didn't feel like there was enough character development in this book. I mean, it's like a barely 300-page book, so I mean, like, if you're interested in like a really quick read about like some rich people living their life and like playing tennis and like love and relationships and family, maybe you'll like this book. But I thought it was okay. Next up, I read the 3rd book in the Caraval series. So this is Final, of course, Stephanie Garber again. This book I liked a lot. I didn't like it as much as the first 2 though. I think this may be my least favorite book. This book didn't have the like game aspect. There was no like Caraval in this game, which is okay, but like that's what I loved so much about the first 2 books, was the whole like game and the clues and all of that. I really like this book, and it's dual POV. The first one is Scarlett's POV, the second one is Donatella's POV, and then the third one is dual POV, both of their POVs, which I thought was really interesting. I love the Caraval series. I think it's such like a good series. If you're like someone that's not really into like high fantasy, like I don't really like high fantasy, but like I love these books. Like, I truly love these books. We read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Now, this book was so good. I love this book so much. It is about the actress Jeanette McCurdy that most of us probably know and love from like iCarly and stuff, and it's basically just about her like life and like how not so good her life was, even though like we all thought her life was probably amazing because she was this like child actor and like living the life we all wanted. But we like find out just like how behind the scenes, how toxic and horrible her life was, and her relationship with her mother, her addictions and abuse and things like that. It's a really good book. Like, it's truly such a good book. Like, one of my favorite memoirs I've by far ever read. It's so well written. Like, literally no notes. No notes. Like, this is like, I don't think I gave this 5 stars, but it's definitely like a 4.8. Like, it's like, next up we have a new release. So this is Abby Jimenez, her Just for the Summer. This book, honestly, really good. Love the cover. Maybe one of my favorite covers that I've seen in a long time. It's so gorgeous. But this book was so good. Like, I always love her characters. Her characters are great. Always love them. But yeah, like, it's about, actually I don't remember their names, Emma and Justin. And Emma, she's like a traveling nurse, and then Justin, he is, I don't know what he does. I don't remember. I think he's just like his job is not important. Let's just say that. I don't think his job is important. They kind of like meet online through this like Reddit forum, whatever, and they decide to like kind of fake date because they're both like cursed. Like, every person that they've dated breaks up with them and then immediately gets married and like finds the love of their life. So they think that, oh, if we date each other and then we break up, then the next person each of us meet will be the love of our life. But of course they fall in love. But it's honestly such a cute book. Of course, it's like, they're like in the East Coast, right? Yeah, East Coast, I think. I don't know. I'm from the Midwest. I don't know what's going on up there. It has to do with a lot of like parental relationships with, honestly, on both sides of both of the characters, their relationships with their parents, yeah, truly just a good book. Next up is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. Now, this book made me really sad. Her first book, Donatella, I ate that book up. Like, that's the book that sent me into my reading slump. That book sent me to my reading slump. That was a 5-star book for me. I'm gonna go get it, guys. This book is so good. It is like, I highly recommend this if you're like someone that loves mystery, a little fantasy, and like romance. It's so good, because I thought it initially was gonna be like just fantasy, but it's really not much fantasy at all. It's really just like a book set in like, I could be wrong, but kind of like Bridgerton era, and then there's just magical elements. Like, there's not like fae and like fairies and like dragons. It's like none of that. It's just kind of like this Regency era, and the main character is just a little magical, and it's so good. And I was so excited for the second book, and it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It like, there was supposed to be a whole mystery aspect of it, but the mystery was not the forefront of the book. It was like the love story, the romance, but like, I want the mystery. Like, I didn't care. I like skimmed through like the last half of this book. And I've heard a lot of people say that about this book, that it's just not as good as the first book. And then there's a third book coming out, and I don't know if I'm gonna read it. This just made me so sad, because I was so looking forward to this book. But honestly, maybe you'll love it, so don't listen to me, but maybe you'll love it. If you read the first book, maybe try this one out, maybe don't. I don't know. Okay, next book I read on my Kindle. I just got a Kindle actually this month for my 20th birthday. I read 12 by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So I love the Natural series. The Natural series is my favorite series. So this is a novella that is like the next installment of it. It's only a 100-page book, so it's something you could read in a day. I read it in a day. It's so good. It felt like I was literally watching like an episode of Criminal Minds. Like, it was a quick little, there's something going on, we're in the FBI, because it's like also like a 5-year time jump. So at the end of the series, they're like 17, 18. Now they're like 23 or something. And they're in the FBI and everything. Yeah, it was a quick little, it was like fun to see the characters again. Everybody meet Sasha. This is my daughter. This is my daughter, girl. Anyways, this book was really good. Highly recommend if you love the Natural series, or if you love Criminal Minds. I highly recommend reading the Natural series as a whole, it's so good. This book that I read this month is Funny Story by Emily Henry. So this book I'm actually still currently reading. I'm like in the last fourth of this book, but this book is my favorite book I think I read this month. I think this is my favorite Emily Henry book so far. Following Daphne and Miles, and they're basically, so they're this is so hard to explain. So both of their exes are now together. So both of their exes were childhood best friends and then dumped both of them to be together. So they're both in this like predicament of like we literally just both got dumped for our exes to be together. So they decide to fake date because literally within like 3 months, 2 or 3 months of their exes getting together and dumping them, they're getting married. So it's like this, they pretend to date just to like piss them off, of course, because like honestly, yeah, I just love the characters. I think the characters so well written. It's actually such a funny book too, like, and honestly just a really good book. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm not done with this book, but I'm definitely thinking I'm probably gonna rate it like at least like a high 4 stars, maybe 5, I don't know. Okay guys, so those were the books that I read this month in April. Oh my gosh guys, I read so many good books. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, please comment down below, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share. I don't know, just do something. Also follow me down below. I have an Instagram, I have TikTok, Pinterest. I don't know, like do something, like reach out to me, let's be friends, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.